afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Winter Kids Club. We're excited to have you join us this afternoon. My name is Talia. I'm from our education department, and we would love for you to help participate in our program today. Now, if you have any questions during your viewing of our program here, or if you're kind of wondering about something, you can text us those questions when you're watching us live, and that number is right below on your screen, right down there. It's 562-286-1838. So you're welcome to text in your questions during our program today. You're also welcome to email us if you're watching this later. If it's not the afternoon on Monday, then you can email us as well, and we can get back to you that way. And that email address is live@lbaop.org. Now, I do have a couple of friends helping me out today in the studio. I have Miss Amanda, who's behind the computer, who's going to be changing all the fun images that are behind me during our program today. I also have Mr. James, who is over at another computer, and he will be helping relay those questions to me during our program. So today, we're going to be learning about another group of animals. If you've been tuning into any of our earlier programs this morning, we've been learning about all sorts of different types of animals today. And one of the animals, or types of animals we're going to be learning about today, is an animal called a mollusk. I wonder what that word means. Now, a mollusk is a type of animal that has a certain type of body. I wonder, Miss Amanda, if we could put up an example of a mollusk and try to figure out what makes a mollusk a mollusk. Let's kind of start with some basics first. So, this animal here, I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's an animal called a sea hare. Just by looking at this picture here, what do you think that animal feels like? I'll give you guys a moment to see if anybody texts in. Do you think it might be hard? Think it might be soft? Is it crunchy? Is it squishy? What do you guys think? Just by looking at the body. Sure. So I'll put up another different type of mollusk. Ooh, this is an interesting one. This is a little bit tricky because this is a type of clam or scallop, and it does have a shell. And normally when we think about shells, we think about hard things. But what about this part of it? Is that hard as well? Ooh, here's another type of mollusk. This one also has a shell. What about this part? This is its body here of the snail. Is that hard? Or is that soft? Ooh, that's a scalp. Those are yummy to eat. So again, hard shell. But what about this stuff here? Is that hard too? So a mollusk is a type of animal that has a soft body. So even though some of the examples we showed you do have shells on them, the body that's inside those of the animal, the body is actually soft and squishy. That's sometimes why they need those hard shells, is to protect that soft, squishy body that they have. And I think that's one of the cool things about mollusks is it's has a variety of different animals that are all within this category. So you have things like a cute little cowrie snail right here. You have the sea hare. You have all sorts of cool things that call. Ooh, you have an abalone. You might love abalones if you watch some of our other aquarium videos. And even little limpets, like this little guy. So we have all sorts of different animals that are mollusks. And even if they have a hard shell over on top of them, they still have a soft body on the inside. So now one of the particular types of mollusks we're going to be focusing on today is a type of mollusk called a cephalopod. So that is also a really big word. But I think we can be super smart scientists, and let's see if we can think about what parts of those words mean. So, if you guys think about the end of it, if you guys think about pod or poda, if you've heard of a podiatrist before, that's a doctor that looks at your feet. So the pod part of cephalopod means feet. Now cephala means the opposite of your feet. So if I'm looking down my feet, I go all the way up to the top. That's your head. So a cephalopod is a head-footed animal. So when you look at something like this cuttlefish over here, sometimes we think about, oh, this must be where its brain is, because here's their eyes, right over, be more general in my pointing, right over there, that's their eyes. So you must think, oh, that must be like where the brain is. But actually, since they're head-footed animals, that's their head, that's their feet, so those are kind of joined together. And then all their guts, what we would think of on humans as being kind of in the middle in between our head and our feet is reversed. So there's their head, there's their feet, and then all their guts live in this kind of big squishy sack in back of them, and that's called the mantle. So that is what a cephalopod is. Now, you might be familiar with some types of cephalopods. You might have heard of a cuttlefish, like what we've been showing so far. You probably know one with 8 arms, like an octopus. Whoa, this is our giant Pacific octopus here. Again, there's their head, there's their feet, and then all the rest of their guts are behind them, that kind of sack on the top there. And the one we're going to be focusing on today is a relative of all those called a squid. So we're going to be doing actually a squid dissection today. So viewer discretion is going to get a little bit messy, but science is messy, so that's okay. So I'm just going to let you know that we are going to be looking both on the outside and the inside of a squid today. Now this squid is not alive. It's the same squid that we would be feeding out to one of our animals, same type of squid. It's a market squid. If you've ever had calamari before, that's what that squid is. And that's what we're going to be using today to explore a little bit more about learning a little bit more about our squid on the inside and the outside. So here's a picture of a squid. Let's check. Is it a cephalopod? Remember, cephalopods are head-footed animals. So let's see. Let's see. There's their feet. And there are the guts there. Nope, that's their head. And then their guts are up top here in the mantle. So let's start a little bit about looking on a squid on the outside. So I have a squid on my document camera over here. I'm going to go get some gloves on so I don't get too. All right, and I'll try to speak up and use my big scientist voice today so we can share all about the squid, because sometimes I get excited and I talk more to myself than I talk to the microphone. So alrighty. So I'm gonna get some gloves on. But I have a squid here on my document camera. And let's start exploring the outside together. Ta-da! Alright, I'm gonna go get him a little bit more in the center here. I'm actually gonna be smart. I'm just gonna move the squid instead of moving the plate. Alright, so let's start looking at the squid. I'm going to kind of lay out the fins here so you can see those a little bit more. And then I realize my squid is really high, so I'm going to move him down for her a little bit. We'll explore that too, because I bet you're wondering, is this a boy squid or a girl squid? Not that I'm going to cut this one open. Maybe we'll cut them open if we have more time. I have one ready to go just because we have a short time frame today. But let's start looking at the outside first. So one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is I noticed all the different colors and patterns of our squid here. So you can see it's kind of got kind of an off-white, kind of white, kind of gray body here. But then it also has all these little polka dots. And to my eye, I'll try to zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit better. I see some pinks, and I see some browns. Ooh, that's pretty good. I'm going to go try to get it a little bit brighter. Hopefully. Ooh, cool. Okay, so there's a lot of different colors to these little dots here. There's some browns I see. There's some pinks. They're also not all the same size. Some of them look just a little bit bigger. Oops, I'm going to go whip on the other side of my squid here so you can see me and the squid. So they look just a little bit bigger than each other. They're not all the same size. So what these are called chromatophores. And chromatophores are basically little sacs of ink that are in the squid skin. And this is actually helps it do something really cool. And it actually helps it camouflage. So it actually allows them to change the pattern of their skin to maybe camouflage, to maybe talk to other squid. It's really interesting to see how these work. Miss Amanda, do we have a video of how chromatophores, what they look like when they're kind of a little bit more in action? Let's see if I might be, there we go. I thought that would pop up on this side. This is kind of what it looks like a little bit more when the squid chromatophores are in action here. So you can see them, they were kind of getting bigger, they were kind of getting smaller, and how that works is they actually have little muscles attached to those sacs of ink so they can either relax or they can squeeze down, and that changes the shape and sometimes like the color of those little sacs, and that's obviously all wired up to their brains. The squid can kind of control, are they getting bigger, are they getting smaller, what color are they producing, and that's one of the ways the squid can camouflage, and it can talk to other squid that way. A lot of times we think of red as kind of an angry color, and red in squid language is actually kind of a nice color. So sometimes when it's mating season and they have a lady squid over here and they have a guy squid over here, and they'll be like, hi, and they'll be red on one side to the lady squid, but they'll be white on the other side to the male squid over here, who's maybe trying to be like, hey, I want to go talk to that lady squid over there. So sometimes they'll split their body in half in terms of what color they're producing to talk differently to different squid. It's really, really cool. So yeah, that's one of the cool things on the outside of the squid are those chromatophores, and that helps them camouflage a little bit. Now let's take a little bit of a closer look at some of the other parts of the outside. Over on my document camera here, we're actually pretty close to one of the ones I want to talk about, and that's this kind of noodly thing right here. Now this is called a siphon, and that actually helps the squid move. If you guys have ever blown up a balloon before, you've gone and then you've let it go, it goes, but it moves forward. Ah, thank you. So this is called jet propulsion. So they're sucking in water into their mantle, into that top part where all the guts are, and then they're concentrating that all through the siphon, and that helps the squid kind of move in this sort of backwards motion here. And it's all through that little siphon there. So that's another cool thing about our squid here. Now, you might have noticed in some of these videos, and on my own squid here, that I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see it a little, see the whole squid a little bit better. Zoom. Oop. I'm going to go turn on the lights again. Let's see. That's pretty good. A little bit more. Okay. Is that we have all this other stuff down here. Now, did you notice when I was laying it out that they're not all the same size? So we have a lot of these really short ones here. Spread those out a little bit more. But then we have these two really, really long ones. Actually, mine are almost falling apart, so I'm glad they stayed together here. They are like literally hanging by a thread there. They have these much longer ones down here. I wonder why that is. Why would you have a lot of short ones and some really long ones? I'm going to let you think about that. And I noticed we have some questions coming in. Somebody was asking, how big does that squid get? That's a great question because it might be a little bit hard to tell on my document camera here. So if you're adding up the body plus the length of the tentacles, these much longer ones here, that's going to be about 10 to 12 inches. So think about the size of a ruler, maybe a little bit shorter. So only about 10 to 12 inches for this particular type of squid. This is called a market squid. We're also asking, where does the squid live? Ooh, that's a great question. So this is a local squid. You can find them in Baja, California, which is a little bit more towards Mexico. You can also find them all the way up to southern Alaska as well. So they definitely live in a wide range on the coast of California. So yeah, they are very much a local type of squid. And keep in mind, not all squid are about this size. Some squid get way, 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 way bigger. I think the Humboldt squid gets like way bigger than a person. So yeah, they can definitely get super, super. Ah, thank you, Miss Amanda. Has a fantastic picture for you. So look at that squid. That squid is enormous. So they can get way bigger than the styver here. So they are a really fascinating type of squid. And then we finally got, I think, images of, there's a deep sea squid that like nobody had gotten pictures before. Ah, this thing. We have all sorts of fun pictures that I haven't seen before. So we had never seen this squid before. I think it was like almost as big, maybe even bigger than that squid, and we finally got some video of it. It's not as high quality as it, but it's something, right? So we're like, oh my gosh, we finally got some really good pictures of this deep sea squid. That was really exciting to finally get some video of it. Okay, so have you guys thought about why we might want to have short arms and long tentacles? Miss Amanda, thank you for being so on point with my visual aids. I love it. So one thing that it's a little bit hard to see on my document camera, it might be a little bit more easier to see if you've ever done a squid dissection in person, but this picture helps me out a lot, is that arms, those short guys, have suckers all the way down them, but tentacles, those two longer ones, this is really just just more of a tube here, but it ends in kind of a little patch of tentacles here, of suckers here. And what this helps them do is, you might have figured this out, is it actually helps them eat. So let's see if I can count them really quick. So you might wonder, like, well, they're related to octopuses. So let's see if this guy has everything. 1, 2, 3 arms. Move this tentacle out of the way. 4, 5, 6. Ooh, I got a really good squid today. 6, 7, 8. So they have 8 arms and 2 tentacles. So if you're ever looking at something and you're like, is that a squid or is it an octopus? You can count all of the appendages on the bottom. If they have 8, they're an octopus. If they have 10, because they have 8 arms and 2 really long tentacles, that would be a squid. And actually, while I have this up, I'm going to zoom in real quick, and we'll get to the inside. Sure, yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. Miss Amanda's like, I'm ready with a cool video. A little washed out. Okay, can you guys see there is this like black little part here? I'm going to get my finger out of the way because of course I'm covering it. It kind of looks like it's sitting in a donut. That's their mouth. So they actually have a little beak, a little bit like, almost looks like a parrot beak, and that helps them break open their food that might be living in kind of a hard shell there. So say again? Sure. Use one of my scissors here. Right here. That's where that, ooh, that is much better. Thank you, Miss Amanda. That's where that beak is, right there. It kind of sits in this little donut. right in the middle of all those arms. So you might have guessed now, since we're talking about eating, that that helps the squid not only catch its food, but hold its food close to its mouth so it can take a bite and eat some lunch. So Miss Amanda, I think, has a really good video of a cuttlefish eating. So those are the tentacles. Boom, gets that shrimp, brings it up to its beak, and then holds it close with those arms. Here's a crab. Again, that beak is good for cracking open things in hard shells, like crabs. You can see those chromatophores working too, all the color changes that they're doing to kind of communicate and talk in a way. Oh, and I was like, oh, that was a good lunch. All right, so, oh, and again. Oh, I remembered it loops. That's why. All right, hello. Hello, cuttlefish. So, I think we have looked pretty good on the inside. I know we've got about 10 more minutes left. So I want to make sure we get to the inside too. So, with the magic of television and the internet, I have one ready for you. So I'm going to go switch my squid out to one that is already cut open for you so you can see the inside of the squid. Ta-da! It's a little gutsy, but that's okay. I'm going to zoom out so you can kind of see a little bit more about what you're looking at. All right, so that's okay. We'll just kind of run with it. I can explain it. Try to get the light a little bit better. Okay, I think that's good. So you can kind of see where we were, right? So this is the two flaps of the mantle here that I kind of just cut out and then kind of splayed out like this. And then these are all the guts that live in the mantle here. There's the siphon again, and the eyes, and the arms, and the tentacles. Okay, so one of the first things that you might wonder when you're looking at the inside of a squid, or maybe if you're just looking at a squid in general, is do I have a boy squid or do I have a girl squid? And to figure out, do I have a boy and do I have a girl, you have to look at the top part here. And that's kind of where their reproductive organs are. So if it is all white up here, like mine is right here, then congratulations, I am the proud parent of a boy squid. So this is a boy. If this was more of a yellow, sort of, it would look like a big giant goober. That is, would be a lady squid. So, thank you. So, since I don't have a lady squid to show you, there I have a beautiful picture of one. So the yellow kind of goobery bit would be all the eggs of the squid. So the girls have the eggs, so that would be a lady squid if it was yellow up top. I have all white up there, so that is a boy. Ooh, and I see I have some more questions coming in about asking, what do market squid eat? Ooh, that's a great question. So they eat plankton, very similar to what we saw in the video. They eat little shrimp. They can eat small crustaceans, so small little crabs, things like that. And then, when they're younger, and then they can eat bigger crabs and maybe even a little fish sometimes when they're adults. That's a great question. So we figured out that we have a boy squid right now. And you might have also noticed that there is this weird kind of black silver. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to use my scissors as a pointer. There's this kind of silvery line right here. And a lot of times when we're teaching classes with kids here, I'll try to zoom in so you can see it. A lot of people think that it looks like a little silvery fish. And they'll turn to their neighbor and they'll go like, wait, you have, ooh, that's too much light. I'm going to back it up. Okay, they'll look at this and they'll be like, oh, it must have eaten a little fish for breakfast. And then they'll look at their neighbor and they're like, wait a minute, you have a little silvery fish too, and you have a little silvery fish too, and you have a little silvery fish too. So we're like, well, hold on, does it make sense that it all ate a little silvery fish and it all ended up in the exact same spot on the squid? So do you think it's a fish? Or it might be something else. So, with our squid here, one of the things you might know that octopus do is when they get scared, sometimes they shoot ink. They go, poof, and it's kind of like a little bit of a smoke screen, and it helps them get away from predators. So squid can actually do the same thing. And this is little part right here. This is the ink sac, and that's where they get the ink from. And then it will travel through. I don't know if I can, let me see if I can show it. It'll basically travel through a little tube. It might even be this thing right here. And then it actually comes out kind of a little bit where the siphon is here. So it'll come through here, and that's how it squirts out. So yeah, that's the little ink sac there. Sure. So Miss Amanda has a picture of a video, I think, of an octopus squirting, just so we can kind of see what that looks like, just in case you're not familiar with it. So this octopus is kind of getting into his cave, and then, oh my goodness, you guys see all that stuff come out? That's the ink. So sometimes they're hoping it'll startle whatever might be nearby. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things to point out with our squid dissection. Now we have a couple more minutes, my friends. So I think I'll point out two more things. Thank you, Mr. James. I forgot to get that before I got all squiddy. Because we do have a take-home activity for you as well. That's super cool. I'm very proud of it. Okay, so back to Mr. Squid over here. So a couple things you might have noticed as well. There's these two little like finger-like things here. That's their gills. That's how they breathe. So they don't have lungs like us. They have this little guy here. They have one on either side to breathe with. And their heart actually would be right in the middle here. It's really hard to see. They do have 3 hearts, like an octopus. They have one main one, which kind of takes care of pumping blood around the body. And then the other 2 kind of take care of, there's one kind of for each gill as well. Sure. Miss Amanda's going to put up a graphic for me. Aha! Okay, so there's the ink sac, like we saw that little silvery fish guy. There's the gills, the 2 little fingers, and then it would kind of be in the middle of all the guts there would be the 3 hearts. You got one main one, and then you got 2 little ones that are kind of on either side. One day I'll be good at backwards pointing. There we go. Okay, so those are the hearts. That would be kind of right at the base of where the gills meet the rest of the guts there. Very cool. Okay, so before we go, my friends, I want to show you my favorite part of the squid, and that's actually something that's underneath all these guts. Because remember we said that some mollusks have shells, right? Snails have shells, abalones have shells. When squid were in the ancestors of squid actually had shells as well. They look really similar. If you've ever seen a nautilus before, that looks really, really similar to that. So they actually have these big shells on the outside of their body to help protect them. And as the world changed, as their conditions changed, that shell got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually it went inside their body. And they have a little remnant of it left, and it's called the pen. So I'm going to get that out real quick. We are just about out of time, but it's my favorite part of the squid, so I want to make sure we don't miss it. Okay, so I'm basically just, I call it unzipping my squid. I'm just taking all the guts off, trying not to get squid juice everywhere. And then you might notice there's this thing on underneath. So I'm going to try to squeeze that out. Aha! And it kind of looks a little bit like a piece of plastic here. Let's see if I can. It's easier with the orange here to see it. It's clear. But anyways, it kind of looks like a piece of plastic. And this is what's left over of that shell. It's called the pen. It kind of looks like a quill. You've seen people write with a feather. That's kind of where it gets its name from. So that is one of my favorite parts of the squid to point out. And it actually helps them get a little bit of stability when they swim. So when they do swim, remember they put in all the water from their siphon here, and they push it out. They don't just go like a balloon that you let go of and you go whoop, 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 whoop. That would be not the most graceful way to swim. So that Little bit of rigidity that they get from the pen helps them keep a little bit more stable. Now, my friends, I hope you guys had fun learning a little bit more about mollusks and all the different types of mollusks there are, and then we did a really good, I hope, in-depth view on the outside and the inside of our squid during our dissection today. So I hope you had fun learning a little bit more about this amazing animal. Now, the fun doesn't stop when our class stops, because you have a take-home activity for you guys to explore at home if you'd like. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you want to go back to our website, aquariumofpacific.org, and you have an opportunity to make this amazing squid hat. So it's a squid hat that you can make from paper. We have all the instructions for you on the website, and we would love to see your results. I would love to see the amazing squid hats that you make, and you can share that either by texting into the number you did before, or if you're on social media, you can use our hashtag, which is hashtag AOP. Oh, there we go. So I'm back for our social media there. So if you want to tag us on social media with AOP Kids Club, we'd love to see your results. But again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow. We have classes all week long, so we hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everybody.